my colleague Alan Ochanda, who is Ochanda. Good morning. So, call for truce. President William Ruto, through his Twitter handle, sort of like extended an olive branch to Azimio leader Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga says, you know my number. You ought to have reached out to me directly instead of using a Twitter handle. But at the same time, members affiliated to President William Ruto are saying that the press have read too much into that tweet that was given out by President William Ruto. What do you have from your side? Because I understand that you have the Secretary General of UDA, Cleophas Malala.
Well, Brenda, yes, quite aptly put. Remember that last week and, of course, in the recent weeks, we've had calls by Azimio to have their back-to-back 3 consecutive days of Mandamano, but it was reduced to 1 day on Wednesday, and then it was actually vacated because of what Azimio termed as giving some ample time to the bereaved families to just mourn their kins. But remember that those demonstrations were meant to maybe pile pressure on the government, of course, according to Azimio, to ensure that the government maybe addresses an array of issues, including cost of living and, of course, also the constitution of the IEBC, among other issues. And remember, like some days ago when Raila Odinga, head of Azimio, was talking to international media, he alluded to the fact that the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, was here and was kept waiting by the president. But when the president was leaving for Tanzania, really on his Twitter handle put it clear that he was available at the convenience of Raila Odinga. But that wasn't received very well by some quarters in Azimio who actually just read, according to them, they read mischief and saying that the head of state should to Raila Odinga, and so directly and not via Twitter. But of course, these and Azimio, both of course, some quarters like the clergy and other LSK, the Law Society of Kenya, have actually been accusing some individuals in those two camps of having hell on hard stance and maybe just impeding what they term as maybe some negotiations in sight. But let's just talk to the Secretary General for UDA party here, Cleophas Malala, to just tell us maybe, of course, you are one of the men who actually near the president, and of course we've been hearing these actually really on media, social media, really the talks between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, but they're actually accusing some members in your Kenya Kwanza administration and on the Azimio side of having that hard stance, which is actually impeding the talks that's actually been called by the clergy and also the LSK. Maybe from your point of view, could you be having some individuals who are actually having those hard stance?
First of all, Alan, it must be known that Kenya is not in any crisis at the moment. And therefore, the president just with a Kenyan citizen should not be a matter that can cause panic in this country. We are saying that our president is the president of Kenya, is the president of everybody, those who voted for him and even those who never voted for him. And therefore, he is at any time available to talk to leaders. You've seen him engaging other citizens. He is always available for the public. He attends Sunday services. He engages the public in development issues. And therefore, just meeting the president and talking to him, I don't think it is a problem. And that is why he stated very clearly that he's ready to talk to Raila anytime. Even tomorrow when he lands back when he comes back, he will be ready to talk to him. But so long as the talks are for the benefits of the Kenyan, so long as the talks are in the limits of our constitution, we are not going to veer away from the lane and the road of our constitution. So we are insisting that we have a manifesto that we promised Kenyans. As a coalition and as a government, we need to deliver. We can only deliver that manifesto if we concentrated on development issues. And therefore, we do not want sideshows. We want anybody who engages the president should engage him and give him suggestions on how to implement the manifesto that we promised Kenyans. And therefore, we do not want sideshows. We do not want things that will deter the president from the vision he has for this country.
Some leaders actually claim that the president is actually non-committal to these talks, given, of course, these actually reports by, and of course, claims by Raila Odinga that the president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, was kept waiting for a record 2 days here without meeting the government side. Is the president committal to ensuring that maybe they have a sit-down to ensure the country, as you say, it's not in a crisis, but gets back to the right track and maybe recalibrate the economic situation here in the country?
The country is on the right track. You've seen KRA declaring that for the first time, we have been able to collect a lot of revenue that is able to sustain us reasonably. For the first time, we have been able to disburse devolution money for all the counties before time. For the first time, we have been able to disburse CDF money on time. We have been able to pay our public servants without borrowing. So the country is on track. Next week we are expecting a bumper harvest, so that we start curing this issue of food shortages. So I am saying the country is not in a crisis, and therefore talking to Raila cannot be something that will put this country on hold. And therefore, it is not an emergency for this. So anytime Raila feels like he wants to talk to the president, he can book an appointment with the president. You know how you can get to the president, book an appointment, do a letter. So it depends on who really needs the talks. Because where we stand from, I think the country is on track, the president is in control, the deputy president is in control, our police force is in control, and we do not have any emergency. And therefore, if Raila wants to speak to our president, let him do a letter, go to State House. He will be given an appointment as a Kenyan citizen. Even you, Alan, you can go to State House, book an appointment. We've seen people visiting State House. So the issue of saying that the president of Tanzania came to this country and was here for 2 days, come on, you know diplomatic protocols. A president of another country cannot sneak into Kenya. Everybody will have known, the security operations will have known. So I think Raila is in his own world. And I think his objective is basically he wants to get a share of government. But I want to tell the Azimio Brigade that thought is hallucination, is purely hallucination, daytime dreaming. We are focused, we know how a nusu mkate can cost an entire government vision. You saw what the handshake did to the previous regime. We are not ready to walk that route. We are saying we are ready to talk to our counterparts from Azimio, but it should be on the basis of helping Kenya go forward and not on issues of power sharing or issues of them coming to government. Let them appreciate what the Constitution provides, that they are the opposition, we are government until 2027 when they will be ready to face us during elections.
Nice. Yeah, Cleophas Malala really saying the country is not in a crisis, and so it's not quite maybe that it's not a dilemma or a crisis which calls for those maybe urgent talks between the president and Raila Odinga, but really saying that the head of state can maybe at his convenience or at the convenience of Raila Odinga maybe just meet, and the talks should be centered at ensuring that the common mwananchi really benefits and not the individual politicians. Brenda.
Thank you so much.